Well, welcome everyone. I'm excited to be here today for our free webinar session presented by Liaison Software and sponsored by Sabre Limited. I'm also really excited to introduce today's topic, which is Messenger EDD, Automated Business Form and Report Distribution Add-on for Business Central. I'll take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Donna Simonovic, the Marketing Manager here at Sabre Limited, and our expert presenter today is Tom Nielsen, VP of Sales at Liaison Software. Sabre Limited is located in Cambridge, Ontario, and is an expert in Microsoft Dynamics Business Central ERP implementation and training for the manufacturing industry. Liaison Software develops workflow automation solutions that support Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central users, and they are a certified partner and certified independent software developer for Microsoft. We estimate that today's webinar will take up to 45 minutes of your time. All of our webinars are recorded and loaded onto YouTube, so be sure to go to our Sabre Limited YouTube channel to check out more videos and subscribe to our channel that you receive the notifications when new content is added. To ensure the best quality, everyone will be on listen-only mode, but if you do have any questions or comments, go ahead and submit those by clicking on the chat icon and then typing your question in the pop-up chat pane, and we'll answer your questions at the end of the session. So now I'd like to hand it over to Tom to begin our webinar. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Donna. Hello, everybody. My name's Tom Nielsen with Liaison Software. I appreciate everybody's time. Today we're showing you Liaison's Messenger EDD product for electronic document delivery. Messenger focuses on business form and report distribution. Some of the key features that we'll cover here today are not only batch emailing, believe it or not, batch faxing. We still get quite a number of clients that fax, so we'll spend about 10 seconds on faxing. Built-in archiving of documents, and people love Messenger for the ability to attach supporting documentation to outbound documents. What we're looking at right here is the Messenger print server. So keep in mind as we go through the demo, the people that use Messenger on a day-to-day basis will never go into the Messenger print server. This just runs in the background. It runs as a service. You'll either have it running in the cloud or running on-prem. It could be installed on a workstation that you treat like a server or a server box, or of course, like I said, in the cloud. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Before we get into the Messenger server, which really all the demo will be in the Messenger server, I'm going to first pull up a quick PowerPoint slide here and give you a minute training session from an end user perspective. The end user is the person that is creating invoices in Business Central, orders, statements, whatever is going to run through Messenger. That individual has two functions when it comes to Messenger. One is they print through the existing print procedure in Business Central. Messenger is using the print to email function to get documents to the Messenger server, which I'll explain a little bit more in a few minutes. Really, there's no training the end user. However you currently quote-unquote print documents, you would continue with that process. The only change, again, is you use the print to email function. Messenger relies upon that existing print procedure. And you also update email addresses on the customer record in Business Central. We're pulling that information through a web service. Now, for the sake of the demo, we're going to focus on the customer as the recipient, but keep in mind that you could use Messenger for sending documents to vendors like EFT remittances or purchase orders. We could be sending copies of documents to salespeople, shipping documents to warehouses, territories. If payroll is done in-house, we could even send direct deposit statements to employees and password protect those documents. The last bullet here is regarding the preference, the method of distribution. We have a hierarchy in Messenger that could handle the preference. So if you set the hierarchy to email print, what that means is it looks for an email address. If it finds the email address, it emails out the document. If it does not find an email address in the field we're pointing to, then it prints to an assigned printer for the customer copy to be then physically mailed out. So if you have a batch of 100 invoices that are processed, hopefully they're all going to email, but let's say 95 are emailed and the remaining 5 are only printed because there was no email address for those customers. So again, from an end user perspective, the end user just prints through the standard print routine in Business Central using the print to email function, and they update email addresses on the customer record just like they would be doing right now. Everything else we're going to be showing you here is all initial setup. Again, the Messenger server is either installed in the cloud or on-prem. It could be installed on a workstation that you treat like a server box. We would have one Outlook client running on that machine to take advantage of the print to email function, and I'll explain that again in a few minutes. If you're in the cloud and you want to print to physical printers, you would need a VPN set up to access those printers. But if Messenger is running on-prem or running as a service on-prem, you do not. You would have access to all of your printers through the network there in-house. Now, the Messenger server, let's close this window here. Let's go over to configuration, emailing. These are your different emailing options, and a little bit of background. We have over 1,400 companies that have run Messenger over the past 22 years. By far, the majority of them use one Outlook email client. In the Business Central world, we're definitely looking at, you'd be using an Office 365 account. It also works with SMTP and even Gmail. If you did have customers that wanted to receive documents via fax, we do support a number of faxing solutions. The most common faxing option these days is this top option, Internet Fax Service. This is where you set up an account with a company like eFax or MyFax or GoToFax, and we email the fax to the third party and they fax it out. Enough about faxing there. Let's go back to the Task Manager. And remember, this is all initial setup that we're showing you here. In the top right corner under Active Companies, these are all your databases. So you could set the rules up for one database and easily clone the settings for the additional databases. Then when you clone the settings, we'll go back and we'll change the email text, the archive folder locations, or printers that you want to print to. I'm going to focus on this top one here, Fabricam. On this drop-down list here are the scripts, the individual scripts for each business form and report. As you can see, it's mainly used for business form distribution. There could be other types of reports that are run through Messenger too. I'm going to focus on two scripts, the invoice script and the statement script. So here we have a 9-line script set up. I have the last 2 lines are shut off down here. And this is the script that I'm going to kick off in a couple of minutes. Now remember, what triggers this is someone has gone into Business Central. They've gone through the standard print routine using the print to email function in Business Central. What that does is it actually emails a PDF of the print stream to the Outlook that's on the Messenger server machine. Okay, so here we have an inbox that would be hitting, the PDF would hit here. Once that PDF hits the inbox, the PDF is brought into Messenger for the processing that we're going to discuss right in this screen here. Now, line 1, and the best way to explain these lines here is think of an old dot matrix form from years ago, where you had you'd tear the perfs off the side of the paper. You had a white copy that went to the customer, a yellow copy for accounting, a pink copy for sales. That's the concept. Line 1 is an example of an accounting copy. So if you needed a hard copy printed in-house for internal use, that's this line here. Now, this is printing to my HP 8020 printer. If you look at the marginal word column, we could actually add that verbiage onto the document, call it accounting copy, just in case the customer copy prints, it's an identical copy. We know what to do with either one. One would be used internally, and then the other one would be physically mailed if so. Now, line 2 is an example of a static attachment. So what's happening here, I'm going to double click, and remember this is all initial setup here. Line number 2 down at the bottom. Under output, I'm mapping to a PDF. This is a 2-page marketing brochure that I'm going to merge with the invoice PDF. So this static attachment feature is commonly used on purchase orders where you attach terms and conditions to the purchase order. Now this example here is a variable attachment. So every invoice will have different attachments included with them. What's happening on this line is we're saying map to a folder. This is detailed information, and you can see it's an actually Excel file here coming from another system. So I have a folder down here of detailed information, and files are saved where the name of the file contains the invoice number. So to access that Excel file, we're using the invoice number on the invoice that's being processed, using that data to go into the folder and retrieve a supporting document. Since this is an Excel file, typically they're PDFs that we're attaching, but here we're attaching an Excel file and I'm embedding that into the PDF. Then we have a customer copy. So this line here will be emailed over. I'll probably add Donna's email address in. We'll process the document and send it to her. If there was no email address for the customer, this would be printed to that HP 8020 printer. We also have a copy archived to a folder. So we're creating an individual PDF of every invoice, assigning a name to the PDF using data off of the report, and then dropping it in this folder over here, our archived invoice folder. Now, this is a fairly new feature here. This is a recap report. This is showing everything in the print stream, what if it was emailed or faxed, where it was sent to, who it was sent to, date and time. I'm going to be emailing this to myself and archiving it to a folder. Typically, the recap report is actually scheduled to run weekly or monthly instead of running it within a script like I'm doing here, just to show you how it works out. Last two examples that I have shut off, here is a sales copy. So we're looking at the salesperson ID number on the document and then pointing back to the salesperson email address and emailing a copy to the salesperson. And my last example, and this is a pretty powerful line in the script, this is a filtered line. So what we're doing here is we're accessing, we're going to double click on it, we're emailing it as the method of distribution. We're emailing it to the controller in this scenario. So line number 9 is only going to be triggered based on filtered criteria set up here. So in this example, we're saying if the invoice is greater than $10,000, the total amount of the invoice, in that situation, we would then route a copy back to the controller and email it, with unique email text explaining why the controller is receiving a copy. So we could use any data that we're capturing, and actually we're capturing our data through a web service. So any data that's being captured through the web service can be used to filter off of. So these are just some typical examples of the features in Messenger, and this is what I will trigger in a couple of minutes. Now, this script is linked to your existing report. We're first gathering from the report through XY coordinates. We're grabbing the invoice number and the customer ID number off of the invoice, and then we're running a web service in the background to grab any additional information related to the script, like the salesperson ID number, like the information on the filtered line, total amount of the invoice. So we'll grab all that information through the web service. Okay? Now, so let's run this script right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the server on. The Messenger server is running and looking for PDFs. I'm going to pull up my archive folder up in the top left because we're going to add a record in here. We're going to also access one of the Excel files from this folder, this detailed information, and we're going to embed this into the PDF that's created. I'm also going to pull up Outlook on the Messenger server machine. So again, Messenger with Business Central would be using the print to email function. When it's emailed out, it's emailed to the Messenger server here, and once it hits the inbox, the PDF is grabbed and brought into Messenger for processing. I'm actually going to process slightly different in the demo here. I'm using I apologize. We work with 21 different ERP packages. I don't have the Business Central on this machine at the moment. I'm going to go into another package, and I'm going to, just like you would be in Business Central, you would have your email address field that we would access. So I'm going to add Donna's email address here. Okay, that's Donna, did I get that right? Nope, I have to add an A there. Donna S at saberlimited.com. I think I did. So I'm going to grab that. Now remember, this is 50% of what the end user does, is whatever field we're pointing to, they're going to make sure that that email address is updated if it needs to be. I'm going to send a statement from this other customer, and I'm going to paste the information down here and save that. So let's close that window. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to print an invoice through the standard print routine, just like you would do in Business Central. However you generate your invoices, you would go through the standard routine to generate them I'm going through this Dynamics product here. I'm selecting one invoice here. Could be a whole batch of invoices. Okay, you go through the standard print routine and use the print to email function. I'm printing with our print driver right here. This is creating a PDF, sending the PDF to the messenger server. Once I hit print, that green light is going to flash to yellow for about 3 to 5 seconds. It's typically about 1 to 3 seconds for it to process, but I'm processing the recap report also, so it adds a couple seconds to the process. That green light is going to flash to yellow. Then you'll see the folders get populated, and Donna and myself will receive the email. Okay, watch the green light. I'm going to hit print now. There it is. It's yellow. It's processing messenger right now. The accounting copy is just kicked off at the printer right next to me. There's the archive copy and the recap report. Both of those were created in the archive folder. And in my sent box is the email sent to Donna and myself and the recap report. Let's open up the email. Okay, a couple things we did here is we took data from the web service. We used that data in the subject line and the email body to make it more personable. So let's open up the PDF. A couple things that we accomplished here, and remember, we're using your existing reports out of Business Central here because it's just grabbing through the print stream. One thing that we did here is we attached a static attachment. So you could see this is a 3-page PDF. Page 1 is the invoice. Page 2 and page 3 is the brochure that we attached. What we also did is we grabbed and attached a variable attachment. So we used the invoice number off of the invoice to point back to that folder of detailed information. We looked in the folder for a file that contained the invoice number as part of the name. Okay, so we grabbed that Excel file and we embedded it into the PDF. You could see that right down here. There it is. This could also have gone as a separate attachment in the email itself. I'm going to double click on that and it opens up Excel, and there's our detailed information. Okay, so let's show you one more feature here, and this is some people buy Messenger just for this feature. This is the variable attachment feature off of the statement report. So let's go back into the script. And if you remember on the invoice script, we archive the invoice to a folder right here. Okay. Now on the statement script, line number 2 is the variable attachment feature. So what we're doing is we're grabbing all of the invoice numbers that are listed on the statement. We're grabbing that through the web service, using that data to go into that folder and look for archived copies of those invoices and merging them into one PDF. We're also, on line number 3, is we're grabbing detailed information just like we did on the invoice before. If there's detailed information in the folder, we're grabbing it from here. Then we're sending it to the customer, so Donna and myself will get that copy. And then I'm also archiving this to a folder if you choose to do that. Typically, you don't archive statements because they change every day, but you could be archiving your invoices with supporting documentation. So let's run this script now. So I'm going to turn the server back on, pull up the Outlook on the Messenger server. You can see that sent box again. And this is where you'd be going into Business Central, and you'd be processing statements through the standard print routine. The only change is that you're using the print to email function. Okay, again, here I have it, one statement for one customer selected. This could be customer A to customer Z, everybody over 45 days, whatever your standard selection criteria is, you go through that. And then here I'm printing with the print driver. You're using the print to email function in Business Central to get that PDF to the Messenger server. There's the print driver. Watch the green light. Once I hit print, it's going to flash real quick. It will archive to the folder, and a second email will go out to Donna and myself. Here we go. I'm going to hit print now. There it is. It's yellow. It's processing and done. There's the archive copy in the archive folder down here at the bottom. And there's a second email sent to Donna and myself. This is the statement email. So let's open that up. So what we did here is we processed the statement. We reviewed the invoice numbers here. Again, we're pulling that information through a web service, grabbing those invoice numbers, going into the archive folder, retrieving copies of the invoices, and then merging them together into one PDF. So if you look here, this is a 4-page PDF, page 1 being the statement. Page 2, 3, and 4 are the supporting invoices. Now for this invoice, 2226, there was a supporting document of detailed information in the folder. There it is. We went and grabbed that, and then we merged it together. There's the Excel file again. Double click and it opens up the detailed information. So let's just minimize this here. I'm going to pull up another PowerPoint just to summarize. What we've covered here, some of the key features for Business Central. One is the variable attachment feature. People love Messenger for this capability. All invoices, we attach the invoices to the statement in one PDF. We could be attaching call summary reports, MSDSs, certificate of analysis. Some customers actually create C of As, archive them to a folder, and name the file the item number and lot number. So then we go in off of the invoice and we pull the item number and lot number to come up with the name of the C of A that we're going to access and attach. Vendor invoices to a print batch edit report, marketing documents by item number. We talked about static attachments. We attached a marketing document to the invoice and sent that out. It could be terms and conditions to purchase orders. You have multiple emailing to multiple email addresses. I believe there's a limit, or I know originally when we had created the link with Business Central, there was a limit on 80 characters, and we can store additional email addresses in Messenger if you choose. We also have the ability with SMTP and Office 365 to use a unique email address by document. So purchase orders come from one email address while invoices come from another. People like this feature down here. If you have multiple invoices in one batch, so let's say you're processing a batch of 100 invoices, and 10 of those invoices are for one customer, Messenger could be set up to send out one email to the customer with one attachment, and in that one attachment are the 10 invoices versus 10 individual emails. Let's see here, storing document preferences. A lot of people use the hierarchy that I mentioned earlier, where we actually take the hierarchy versus storing preferences and managing one more field. We could easily use the data processed that's in the PDF to name the PDFs. Not only the PDFs being emailed out to the customers, but the PDFs that are archived to the folder. And we also can create unique naming conventions by customer if you choose. Very simple for us to print to user-specific printers, routing copies to salespeople, warehouses, territories, and it's all triggered by printing through the standard print routine in Business Central, just using the print to email function. And remember, no end user training. Everything we've shown you in the Messenger server is all part of the initial setup. The end user just prints through the standard print routine, using print to email, and they update email addresses. Everything else was initial setup. Any questions?
Thanks, Tom. I do have some questions that came in by email earlier.
Okay.
The first one is, can I control the naming convention of the PDFs being emailed out?
Oh, yep, that's one right here. Let's go back to that. We showed you that over here. Let me go back to that in the PowerPoint slide. Yes, you can. So it's any data that's being captured from the report, either through the XY coordinates or through the web service, can be used to name the PDF. And again, that's the PDF that's being emailed out, archived to a folder, and you could have unique naming conventions by customer.
All right, that's great. Another question that's come through is, with the goal of attaching my invoices to the statement, is there a way to access my invoices that have not run through Messenger EDD yet?
Yes, so good question. So in Messenger, what you can do here, let's go back to the setup for the invoice. So you have your lines in the script here. What you can do is you could set up the script, and then you could disable all of the lines in the script, like I'm doing right now. Okay, you disable all of the lines except for the archive copy. Now, let's say your receivables goes back 120 days. You go back into Business Central. You go through the standard print routine to print all your invoices for the past 120 days. That creates one PDF of all those invoices and sends the PDF to the Messenger server, which now we're going to just archive them to that folder, so we'll have all of those invoices in that archive folder over here. Then you just go back and you turn the lines in the script back on, and you're processing as normal.
All right, we have another question that's come through. Who does the email appear to come from? When the customer responds to the email, where does the response go?
Right. Okay, so what you have over here, let me go back to the script here. Here's the customer copy. Okay, you could use a unique email address with SMTP and with Office 365. You're setting up a unique email address by user if you choose. But what you can also do under email tasks and CC is we could reply back to an individual here. So this could be set up at the line for whoever had created the invoice. We could set rules up so if they reply back to that email, it goes back to the individual that actually sent out the invoice to start, versus going into a central location. It's going to go back to the individual.
Great. And another couple questions. So what software does Messenger EDD work with, and is it just for invoicing?
Right, so Messenger works with any ERP package. So there's over 21 different ERP packages that we've worked with. It works with any, you could create scripts. These are just typical examples here. We focused on the invoice and the statement script. You're talking about shipping documents, individual reports they could be management reports that you want to process. We actually have Pizza Hut uses Messenger. They use it with Dynamics GP, where we distribute management reporter reports to 160 Pizza Hut stores. And what happens is Messenger we always run one specific report last. That's going to kind of grab the other three reports. So they run and print the three financial reports. Those first three reports, we'll take that, each report, we'll burst it into 160 PDFs, archive them to a folder, and name them based on the store ID number. When the fourth report runs, it does the same thing. It bursts that PDF into 160 PDFs. It then goes into the archive folder, retrieves the three other reports for that store, and then emails them out. So the end result is each store manager receives one email with one attachment, and in that one attachment contains the four reports, the four monthly financial reports.
Oh, that's great. And another question came through. Can I use Messenger EDD with other third-party products?
Yes. So we have quite a number of third-party products that we work with. So remember, we're just dealing with PrintStream. So just from a high level, what we discussed here is setting up a script around the report. With Business Central, we are accessing the data from the report through a web service. With other third parties, we'll actually grab the data from the report. So there's hidden fields that can be placed into the report. So if you look up here, we wouldn't be doing this with Business Central, but with other third-party products, yes, we'll add hidden fields into the third-party existing reports. This allows us to capture the data from the report and then distribute and route according to the rules set up for that script. So you set up the script, you put the proper tokens into the report, and then you just print through the standard print routine. By printing through the standard print routine, just like I showed you earlier, it created a PDF of the print stream. The PDF was sent to the Messenger server, where we followed the script associated to that PDF and distributed based on the rules in the script. So yes, it does work with any third-party product.
Thanks for answering all those questions, Tom, and for the great presentation. If anyone has any more questions on the Messenger EDD automated business form and report distribution add-on for Business Central, or would like a one-on-one demo or pricing, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to help. My contact information is on the screen, and you can visit us at saberlimited.com for more information. And I'd like to thank everyone who attended today, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you for watching our videos. Please follow our channel by clicking here to stay up to date with the latest content, or click here for more great videos. Don't forget to visit our website at saberlimited.com. We look forward to seeing you next time.